500 feet to go. Start reducing the pitch. Ooh, that was maybe a little bit too much. Yeah, and now we need to find a power setting or thrust setting that will keep us at about Mach 0.8. Nearly there. Okay, altitude hold. And it's holding. So yeah, this is just a bit of a gamble. Let's go for 87 or so first. See what it does. Maybe a little less. 86. Yes, it looks like the speed is dropping off a little bit. Well, just leave it at 86 for the next 5 minutes or so and see what happens. So, after Pinsk, we'll track to Bagza, which is a leg of 321 kilometers. That's long enough for us to play with the RSBN, what do you call them? RSBN beacons. And just as a preparation, I'm going to set up the Minsk RSBN beacon channel 39. So we'll look in the overhead panel. So RSBN beacon channel 39, and we can actually see that it's in range. We can see the course here, so 213, and the distance, it's still counting. It's not instant. I love these analog gauges. Anyway, as soon as this one's stabilized, we know the exact distance from that beacon. Yeah, so it works. So this airplane is not designed to use these beacons directly for navigation, but we can use it to automatically update our NVU position. You have to be sure, by the way, you're on the correct course, on the correct leg for that. So we can't just do it now if we plan to do that on the next leg. So after Pinsk, we'll set this beacon, which we have done. We'll use a map angle of 182.8. I think we just passed the beacon. Yes, we did. Okay, before I continue with this RSBN, I'll make sure I'll set up the next track. So this is what we can fly after Bagza. 172.4. One 172 and 24 minutes. And a distance of 111.4. So SP 111.4. Always have your next leg ready before you do anything else. Okay, so we're now on the correct leg. We can set the map angle on 182.8 for the correction. So we go to, see if we can position the camera, map angle here, 182.8 degrees, 182.8, it's close enough. Oh, it was close enough. Oh, that's close enough. 182.8. And the other numbers we need is the SM, and this is for the Russian cockpit layout, SM, ZM. So remember the S and the Z was S distance, Z is of course left or right. So SM here, 504, is actually SB on the NVU, I think for beacon. So minus 504.3. You can see the numbers rolling at the beacon, so it's on the active unit on the standby numbers. 504.3. That's what we need. There, and the ZM of minus 89.9. So ZB there, and minus 89.9. Nearly 90. Okay, so this, if you do it right, is great because it automatically updates your NVU position. If you make a tiny little mistake, it can incredibly ruin your navigation, so make sure before you do this. The heading book set to 0, so you can always relay back to your heading book. Make sure you have enough track miles to go before the changeover, because as soon as this change is over, you can see here for the next leg the numbers are different, so this won't work anymore, so you can't do it during a changeover. And double check all the numbers, so we just go through it all again. Beacon Minsk 39, normally would listen to the Morse code, Whiskey November. Don't think that works in this simulator, maybe it does, I've just never tried. We check the map angle 182.8, and we check the data in the beacon field of the NVU, the Z position minus 89.9 and the S position minus 504.3. So it looks all correct. Just in case I made a mistake, or just in case there is a big navigation error, which could be as well, I'll switch off the prepare nav. So whatever changes now, the airplane is just going to maintain its current course. Here we go. Yes, you saw the details only changed a tiny wee bit, which means our navigation was pretty accurate, but it's more accurate now. So I leave it on correction for a few seconds, and then I'll just switch it off. And as you can see, we're less than a kilometer of course, but you will see a tiny deviation on the bar. If this is a large deviation, just use the course knob there to fly the airplane on track, and as soon as you're on track, use the course knob again to steer it back on track. So en route you get only small bank changes for the course correction. As soon as you're perfectly on track, you switch back on the prepare nav and you will... Oh, what's going on? Ah yes, prepare nav and NVU. And you will always see a little wiggle, always a couple of degrees bank, but nothing drastic, and I can imagine that's not too comfortable for in the cabin. Just double checking with our GPS position, the dot's still on the line, so it's always nice to have a second opinion and another message which we can just clear. So there are a few other things I would like to point out at this point. So we've seen how the NVU works, we've seen how we can update using VOR DME, we've seen how we can update using RSBN. I haven't shown you really the Doppler. We can see the wind direction here, which is the opposite of what you may be used to in wind reporting. So the wind 120 is actually not the wind 120, that's the opposite direction. So 120 is actually a wind of 300 degrees. This is not the wind, this is the drift. And 90 kilometers per hour, well, that's just the speed. It's about 50 knots. Yes, pretty much what I expected. 300 with 50. Shall we just have a look at the sky vector map? So we've taken off Vilnius, we intercepted the radial, we switched to RSBN, sorry, we switched to NVU, followed Osmos, double checked the position with the Pinsk VOR, we passed Pinsk, and we corrected our beacon, or our navigation with the Minsk RSBN beacon. And now we're flying towards eventually Floresti. Well, the first waypoint next is going to be Bagsa, which is there. So what we can do at Bagsa is just tune the Frankovsk VOR, and when we think, based on the NVU, that we're above Bagsa, we can check that we are on radial 060 from IVF, Frankovsk. So 14.2, I'll put on NAV2 because it's secondary. 14.2. We do see DME, although we're going to be pretty close to the beacon. This is not the one I wanted. This one. So we should see a distance of 21 plus. There's no DME distance here, maybe on the low charts. Yeah, so 56 kilometers, sorry, 56 miles. We could convert, no, we don't have to convert this. 56 miles. We can set the DME to miles. So as soon as we pass Bagsa, we should see a thick needle here passing 060. So we'll see about that. So there's another way to update our position, or confirm our position rather. So back to the Doppler. There's an error here, sorry, a drift here, direction, speed. We can also add, if we know this NVU position is constantly off by 3 degrees, whatever, we can just add 3 degrees correction in here. So whatever all the computers, mechanical and gyros, etc. are calculating, we just manually add 3 degrees, and that's what we'll get on our screen or on our HSI. One thing I'd like to point out here is on the main gyro indicator. We can see the position of the main gyro, the long arrow. We can see the position of the standby gyro, the little triangle there. They're lined up the same. And the RC, this is the actual cursor flying with the wind correction. So is the drift here is the result of this machine here, so from the Doppler drift. We have 20 kilometers to go to Bagsa. It's a small turn, so I'll set the turn anticipation to 5. I kinda normally have the selector NVU selector in SP, just so I don't make an error there by selecting the wrong changing the wrong digits. 14 kilometers to go. Expect to see a radial around 060 on the nav2, which we're approaching, and we're looking for 60 miles. Was that what we expected? 56, or maybe a little bit more, because the slant range. So 57 or so. That's what we expect to see, and we can double check with the GPS. Our course correction is 0, or track error, and a couple more seconds. Yeah, there we go, automatic changeover. So, as I said before, the first thing we do is put in a new course. So we're on course 172, the next going to be 174.7. It's only a small course correction. 174.742. And the distance of 418.5. So SP, that's why I leave it in SP. 418.5 I said, so it's plus this time. For 18.5, and now this is very important because we used this point information, this field, we've used it for beacon. You can see the Z is now at 90 kilometers negative. If I forget about this, as soon as we change over to the next waypoint, the NVU is going to think we're 90 kilometers off course, and it will give me a course correction to intercept or to reduce this error. So I must make sure, by putting this on ZP, the selector, I reduce this to 0. So as a rule, always have the Z field, the standby Z field, in your not active unit. So in this case number 1 is not active, and this is the Z standby field. Always have this at 0, because otherwise you start the lag with an error. So this lag is very short, we only have 82 kilometers to go, and the next one is going to be 418. So actually we can see we're 500 kilometers away from the waypoint thereafter. So we've got plenty of time to do another correction there. So yeah, we'll do it in the next leg. And also in the next leg we're going to transfer the gyros. I'll start talking about this a little bit now. What we've done, this is orthodromic navigation. So we've aligned our gyros relative to the magnetic field of Vilnius. But we're going to Plovdiv, and the magnetic field there is slightly different. The exact difference is 2.1 degrees. And because we don't update our gyros, we've updated our navigation, but we've not connected our gyros to the KM5 units, so there's no gyromagnetic correction going on at the time. Our gyros think we're still in Vilnius, and the only error that's of significant size is the rotation of the Earth, and because the latitude was set here correctly, that's being corrected by the correction unit. So we're just following the course based on the magnetic variation of Vilnius. So that's why I've been using the red numbers all the time. But before we land, and I prefer to do this somewhere halfway the flight, on a long leg, so you've got plenty time, is to change gyros by 2.1 degrees, and then from that point we can follow the blue numbers. And actually we then have our gyros aligned for landing in Plovdiv. So unlike on a Western airplane where there's continuous updates, like on the 737-200s and on the 727s, 707s, they have a flux valve, so these gyroscopes are continuously updated by the magnetic field. That's not happening on this airplane, and that's good, because this airplane is designed to operate in the northern regions of the North Pole, and it's so close to the magnetic North Pole that the gyro compass is not going to be of any use. It's inaccurate. So if you had this on if you had this on automatic update all the time, which you can actually do, it's a simple switch there in the top, switches from DG to magnetic. If you did that, in the polar regions you wouldn't have any useful navigation, so we use the orthodromic navigation and it works great.